Welcome to Real Estate 360. My name is Sandy McElroy, and with me, of course, real estate expert Kenn Renner. Hey, Ken.
Hey, how you doing, Sandy?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, they let you into your cage here.
They did, and I'm glad that you were able to join us. You're the first person that's been in here in quite some time.
It's been a month since we were here last time.
Yeah, has it been a month?
It's been over a month, yeah.
I don't think anyone else has been in here.
Well,
for a month.
You're an essential service, and so am I. So we can do this.
Right.
And we are 6 feet apart.
Yes, we definitely are 6 feet apart. But things are changing. Here we are, the 1st of May.
Yeah.
The state of Texas is reopening, and things are starting to happen, I'm asking.
It's an amazing, we're the 10th largest economy in the entire world, state of Texas. And it's really exciting that we're going to be able to, we'll see what happens. But there's 29 million people here in Texas. And I think they're going to be glad to get back to life as somewhat normal. It'll never be the same. But, it's been, we talked about this last time, it's been a silver lining for us. Having to be sequestered and stay at home, we were all trying to figure out things to do, and the amazing thing is that it's been a really blessing for our family, getting to know each other again. I have a 10-year-old at home and a 20-year-old, and the 20-year-old is a musician, and she's always gone, right? So she's gone all the time, and it's been really good. And the other thing that we did, as everybody was taking shelter, we decided that we're going to take this time out. It's been like a time out for the whole nation, we're going to start a business. I mean, who does that in the middle of a crisis, right? And we're like, no, this is a timeout. Give us a chance to, because I'm so busy doing sales, is that we've opened up our management company.
Oh, so, congratulations.
Yeah. So it's great. It's realty portfolio management. And that's what we do. We do a lot of, we manage portfolios. And that's kind of what we do, is to help people to build portfolios of 10 or 20 properties, mostly residential single families. And now we're going to be able to service them throughout the life of the loan. So we not only do we help them purchase the properties, but we're going to be able to help them help service them and steward that property from start to finish. And then someday when they dispose of it or do a 1031 tax deferred exchange, we're going to help them with that.
Nice.
It was a missing link. It was my first job 35 years ago, was in property management. And it's a very detail-oriented business. So that's the thing. We took this opportunity to start a business, and that's the Texas way. It's the American way, Same with my daughter. She couldn't do the right when they announced this. The South by Southwest was shut down,
right? And
she was going to had a showcase. She had actually 7 showcases she was going to do, up and coming star, and that just kind of was devastating. But she's very resilient, just like my 10-year-old. Instead, she went in the studio and recorded an album.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and it sounds really good. So it's her 4th album. Yeah.
Congratulations to her. That's using her time wisely.
Yeah.
You should be proud.
Yeah, I am. So it's exciting. And so we'll talk in the next podcast more about our property management company, how we're going to do things differently, because we care. We talked about that before the show. Yeah. But I do want to talk about the stats of the Austin market a little bit, and some of the things that have realities in real estate, because our business is an essential activity. So we were really not shut down. In fact, March was a thriving month. Had to do things differently, of course, but the bottom line is that if people still are moving here, if you think about it, 150 people moving here a day from wherever, a lot from the West Coast and up north, they planned this months ago.
Sure.
So they it's not like they're just going to stop making their plans. They're coming anyways. Right. But just the stats alone from the Austin Board of Realtors, this is amazing. The Austin Round Rock MSA went up 11%.
Wow.
Since last year, up 11%. The days on the market went down 11 days. Closed sales went up 2%. Now, this is for March. This is right when the crisis began, and there's 1.6 months of inventory. Now, a stable market is 6.5 months of supply of homes. We're at 1.6, which is the lowest ever. And so we have an extreme housing shortage, right? City of Austin was interesting on this stat, went up to 415,000 median price, up 14% from last year. So 1.2 months supply. So we are we're still in a very much a housing crisis. So we get a lot of our clients that are investors saying, "Hey, it sounds like we're going to have some really good deals coming up." And I'm like, "Well, not really, because there's sellers taking their homes off the market in the middle of a housing shortage, and it's taking longer to build because of the shortage of labor and what have you."
Right.
So it's going to be very busy, both in just regular sales and in rental market. And that's one of the focuses of our business for sure, is the rental market. I just put out a blog post based on Mark Dotzer's video that he put out. Mark Dotzer, very highly respected economist with the Texas A&M Real Estate Center, which is an authority for stats, and he'd been there for years. He's on his own now, but he was there, the president, for many years. So some things that are important. Austin is still the fastest growing big city in the nation. Over 150 people a day are moving here, and they have to live somewhere.
Right.
Inventory is way down. Existing home sales for lowest ever, 1.6 month supply, forcing many potential home buyers to rent instead of buy. Interest rates are at all-time record lows. I'm refinancing several properties. I'm like lowering my payments, pulling out cash, paying off cars, and it's great. So, and that's a big key, especially for the investors and for home buyers in general. And the rates are going to stay down for quite a while, according to Dotzer. And that's going to be really strong for the market as people get out of this sequestering of being, it's going to be crazy, because people like going, I got to go buy a house, especially a house with an office, right?
Yeah.
Part of the thing is that, especially in other areas, or if you have a small house like this Bay Area house, and a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house worth $1.4 million, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1,100 square feet, one bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine they're going to be sequestered in there throughout the month of May, already a month and a half into this? Could you be with your kids and doing your work from home in that little, I'd have to set up something in the garage to get away from my kids.
I love them, but that's just a lot of time.
I love them. But a lot of these people have to work from home, and the high-tech workers are used to that. But 3 kids and, dog barking and all that kind of stuff. Or they could live in this house in Texas and be sequestered in this same value house, about $1.4 million on the lake. So the house on the right is not a bad place to be sequestered.
No, not at all. No.
I tell people too, I was out there many times in the Bay Area. I feel for the people that are living in apartments that are sequestered, but even worse, there's kind of almost a humanitarian crisis. It's been going on for a long time, that the affordability is so bad that people have to live on the street.
Yeah.
These are actually motor homes that are parked along the street. These are actually not just hotel workers and what have you, but they're like your city workers. They're teachers, they're policemen living in these motorhomes. Wow. Because they can't. The average rent's $4,000 to $5,000 a month. That's $60,000 a year. That's what they make on a salary. Yeah. How'd you like to be sequestered in this? So
I'd go nuts.
My message to these people is Texas is only a 24-hour drive away.
Right. So they know they can leave,
and we'll pay you more. We got jobs here. So, anyways, come on out to Texas, and we'll take care of you and get you into a nice house. So, further on with the blog here. Lending criteria is getting more stringent, with banks like Chase and Wells Fargo increasing minimum FICO scores and requiring larger down payments, making it harder to qualify for a mortgage, forcing more to rent. This is great for landlords. Mm-hmm. This is great for us as landlords, because they are jumbo loans are shut off. In other words, for that big giant house I just showed you, it's getting very tight. So what do they have to do? They have to rent until this all settles out. And then we talked about this again earlier. Teleworking from home is going to become much more the norm. Employees will enjoy not having to get into commuter traffic, and employers won't have to provide as much office space. So that's important, and that's what we're going to see. All the CEOs are going to be looking at this and seeing people working from home and being productive, and they're going to be saying, do we really need all that office space, that big old tower down there? Mm-hmm. Think about the money that they could save. They're all, according to Forbes, that's what they were going to be. Every CEO is going to be looking at their bottom line, going, how can we leverage this? So that bodes well for our housing market too, right?
Sure.
And guess what? We talked about this. it means that you're going to want to make sure you get a house with a nice office.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And big enough so you can work from home. And it's obviously, especially in our area where there's, a lot of high-tech workers, they're used to working remotely. So I think that's going to be a big question in the office and retail market.
I think you're right about that for sure.
Right. And then I get a lot of people talking about, hey, well, shouldn't we seen a lot of deals, people desperate to sell and all this? I'm like, not here. Maybe in other parts of the country. Are the builders starting to dump their houses? No, we're in a housing shortage. And so there are some discounts happening and some bonuses happening on standing inventory, but it's far and few between. So that's the reality of our market. So let me read you some excerpts from this Forbes article that I just printed out. It's now been over 12 years since the Great Recession, which lasted a staggering 18 months, the longest since 1929 Great Depression, and was caused by the subprime mortgage crisis, banks bundling these mortgages together and selling them off. So people are obviously, like later on in this article, saying, well, isn't that going to happen again? Is there going to be a housing crisis? And the bottom line is that we still have a housing shortage nationwide, not building enough. And this potential recession that's happening is not driven by the housing market crashing, which is what caused the recession. It's caused by a completely different reason, but the housing is still very, very strong. It actually talks about this could be some of the best times to buy property. We talked about it, that the stock market dropped 30% in 1 week. In real estate, that doesn't happen. No. I mean, yeah, there can be big ups and downs, but it took 2 years for the values to drop. And that's one of my Pied Piper things we're talking about, especially in the higher overpriced areas like California. Maybe it's time, if you can sell, to get those properties sold, take your equity and roll tax-free or tax-deferred and get it out of California or New York or wherever it is. Mm-hmm. Because the bottom line, when you look at that stock market, and you look at real estate, it's a good place to diversify out, and we talked about that on the last podcast. Was that I told people saying, look, the stock market's crazy, and everybody knows it. You're telling me right here in this room, it's crazy, right? So it dropped 30% from when I did that presentation. Wow. If they'd gotten their money out, they could have saved a lot. It offers stability, and we've had that chart with the Austin median prices, even in the 2008 crisis. Mm-hmm. Stability. Leverage. So we get to borrow on it. We put our down payment, and then we own it all, but we don't. We own the equity is all ours. Right there, you go. And somebody else pays the mortgage off. Right. So in investments, tax benefits. Some of the greatest tax benefits is in real estate, and financial freedom is very possible. And I talk about this in my presentations. Is that this one house that Mr. Bill sold is actually the house he sold in San Mateo, and we turned it through a 1030 tax deferred exchange into these houses, these 9 houses. Wow. And so he's now retired, and based on this, most of these are now free and clear, and only a couple are mortgaged. So that's kind of what we teach people. Now, you may not be fortunate enough to be able to sell one house and buy 9 all at once, which is a great way to do it. But you can buy one a year, and buy one a year for 10 years and pay them off in 20, and effectively does the same thing. Right. And if you think about the average property we're selling is $250,000 or 200. Let's just use 200,000. And so if you bought 10 properties, that'd be $2 million. Mm-hmm. In Texas, values double about every 15 years. So it's going to go from $2 million to $4 million. Mm-hmm. Meantime, somebody else is paying it off. Mm-hmm. Now, if you have a 15-year mortgage on it, then it'll be paid off in 15 years, and you're worth $4 million net. And the cash flow is going to be probably somewhere around $20,000 a month. We could live on that. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, without having to work.
Right. Just going to the mailbox.
Absolutely. Yeah. And all sheltered. And then, of course, a state disposition is where when you pass, your kids gets what's called a stepped up basis. So the kids, if they do it right, will also not pay taxes.
And you can help with all of that.
And that's the whole thing. And adding the property management part of it has been something that my clients have been asking for years. I mean, for years and years. And finally, we've got the right chemistry, the right partners, and be able to make this work. And all of my clients are really saying, I'm glad you're going to steward our properties. Because I say, even in my seminars, I say I haven't run into a really great property management company. There's good ones out there, hard to find, but most of them are just okay.
Right.
And we'll cover that in the next podcast, because I want to talk about the strategies and the excitement that we have over being able to take people's property, steward it, and do that 10 property,
Right.
10 property. This will make you financially free. If you
Absolutely.
Do
It goes all the way back to when we first started doing this. We were talking about the rich dad, poor dad
right.
Philosophy.
Right. Absolutely.
And it all kind of goes back to that.
And it's just, you could build it up. That's what's nice about residential. You don't have to buy a big giant building. You can build it up over time. And some people will take those 10 properties in 10 years or 20 years, and they will diversify it through a 1031 tax deferred exchange and buy an apartment complex.
Right.
So it's kind of what we do here at Renner Realty, is help people build that portfolio. Now, through our property management company, Realty Portfolio Management, we'll be able to steward it all the way from start to finish. And then when it's time for you to dispose of it, and I mean dispose of it, like sell it or 1031 exchange it, sell it for a profit so you can let your kids go to college, or maybe you're retiring or whatever. That's what we want to do. We're going to be stewarding it, so we care, because here's the bottom line with the business model that we do. Property managers will take the accounts and they'll do an okay job, but they don't have a vested interest in the fact that if it gets leased really quick and the owners are happy and the investors are happy and the tenants are happy, they'll come back and buy more.
Right.
If they get mismanaged, if they get treated badly, they get a bad tenant, they're like, oh, this is no fun. Or it stays vacant, that's a big deal. Right now we're seeing things, we're releasing them within a week to 2 weeks because the demand is so high from all the things we just talked about.
Wow.
So, if you want to reach out to me, it's Kenn Renner, Renner Realty, 512-423-5626, or Kenn, Kenn, @buyaustin.com, and I can help you down that road to financial freedom.